Frack on. Welcome to the episode of Frack The Canon. I am joined by the coolest motherfuckers around. What's up, Tyler? How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing really good, and I'm really fired up because I'm ready to tear into this movie.
Yes, me too. So we're talking about Jurassic World Dominion, the last of the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park franchise or installments. Oh my God, what a piece of shit that movie was. I'll see it right there. I'll start with it right now. But what the frack is this? This is a piece of poop. A giant piece of Triceratops poop. Take it away.
To quote Ian Malcolm from the first Jurassic Park.
That is one big pile of shit.
Oh my God, dude. Like I was trying to find it. Like it's just so ridiculous. Like, okay, I want it to be like, and I said it to him. Like, I'm done with the franchise. I'm done with it. I'm not gonna go see the next one. But I'm a '90s kid. I'm a Jurassic Park core. I'm like, all right, I'll go see it. I'm like, oh my God, this is like, where do we start? So, there's a world. For some reason, somehow, all the dinosaurs got out and populated somehow. We don't know how. Even though I guess they're alive finding the way. To quote Ian Malcolm again. I'm just like, I just, it's so stupid. The dinosaur ring around. The story plot was so dumb. The story plot was about bugs and the kidnapping. I'm like, what does that have to do with dinosaurs? Nothing at all. And the dinosaurs that we had there, I'm like, why were they here? Why does this happen? Tim Cook, and they're like, that's
Dachshund, yeah.
But like,
yeah,
he was obviously based on Tim Cook, dude, the way he acted and everything.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes.
I get. And then the one thing that bugged me the most at the end, and this is where I'm like, Wolverine dinosaur. What the frick is this? I know I'm all over the place, but like, and it's just me just bitching. Like, I'm trying to find the good in this movie, but I can't. I cannot find anything good in this movie.
Yeah, so I think a good place to start would be talking about the franchise and why this movie's so bad. First, about why it ignores the rest of the franchise, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty of it. But I agree that it's a terrible movie, but it's also a terrible movie because it completely disrespects the source material, ignores character development prior to everything else that came out before, and throws a lot at you and expects the audience to just forget stuff that already happened. Before I say anything else, I just want to say I've been on a campaign for weeks or for ever since I saw the movie, which is just about a week and a half ago, just arguing with people why it's bad. And I've won every single argument because there are a lot of fanboys who are nostalgia, just want to give me in the arm, give it to me. Yes, Alan Grant's back. Yes. And it's like, yeah, but he's not the same Alan Grant.
No, he's not. I'm like, yeah, like exactly. Yeah. That's that one thing that so bugged me. I'm like, yeah, I'm a Jurassic Park whore, but like, there is no reason in the story for them at all to meet up again. It is just fan service. And I said this about Spider-Man on the way home. As much as I love Spider-Man comic books, and that movie was cool, this is just fan service. Fan service a movie does not make. And I felt the same way about this too. Like, why? So I'm gonna continue because go ahead, continue, and then we'll.
Yeah. Well, Alan Grant's a really good example, and this more so than even No Way Home doesn't justify the means. And just to speak on two characters that completely disrespect the source material. Alan Grant. The reason why Alan Grant didn't end up with Sattler in the original and the original trilogy is because Alan Grant was always married to his job, paleontology. Like, that was his passion in life, and he couldn't separate that enough to have a partner. And Spielberg and Crichton worked together to make sure that was the story point about Alan Grant, much like Indiana Jones and how he couldn't leave archaeology. And it was a brave choice, and I love that they made it. And then this movie shits on it, and it's bullshit. And then the other character that is completely ignores the source. Well, there's the two antagonists, Henry Wu and Dachshund. Doxson is in the original. The guy meeting the guy meeting Nedry, Wayne Knight at the restaurant in the very beginning of the movie, in the famous meme.
You shouldn't use my name.
Dodgson! Dodgson! We've got Dodgson here! See, nobody cares.
Exactly the same guy, different actor. And they try and like hint that it's the same guy. By the end of the movie, he has the Barbasol thing, and then it's like, oh, they are making it the same guy, but completely just different. And he was a very weak antagonist, and that very much pulled away from the movie. And I can get more into it, but the reason why I'm saying all this long thing is Jurassic Park, much like the original Star Wars trilogy, is one that shouldn't have been rebooted into a new trilogy. And this new trilogy just middle fingers the original trilogy, and it's painful.
Yeah, like each installment gets worse and worse and worse. Like the first one was like, all right, it's Jurassic Park remake, that's fine. And then the other one, I'm like, what is this? And then this one, I'm like, well, it's not even about dinosaurs, it's about bugs and freaking a kidnapping plot. Why? Like,
right. Yeah.
and-
Yeah. To go, no, I was just say, you said the kidnapping plot, Maisie. It's the other thing too, when you try and like make this the central the story, like the Maisie was like the central part of the story in the beginning,
right.
and it's like, yeah, I get it, you want to continue Fallen Kingdom, but don't do that and try and close all these other loops that you're opening up. Just want to point out the biggest mistake in the movie is after Maisie and Blue's clone kid escapes, Dachshund and Wu witness them run out of the room and then just walk away and forget it happened. And it's like, that's at that point, I'm like, this movie is like irreparable at this point.
Like, here's the thing too about that, like the story should have been humanity surviving with living alongside dinosaurs. Like, how does the world react? No one's actually said, like, it's a little bit thing, it's a little like intro, and now this segment, I'm like, frack you guys for that, because that's bullshit. Like, that's bullshit. Like, really? Your story should have been about humanity, about at least these guys, at least these three surviving together with dinosaurs. But no, it's like, I can't get over the fact, it bugs me to no end that it's just a bunch about fucking a locust plot. I'm like, and then like they clone locusts, and I'm like, I don't. Why is it called Jurassic Park, Jurassic World?
Well, I think what for me that was okay, because like they try to make Ian Malcolm the through line, like he talked about chaos theory, and it's just like the whole butterfly effect thing. But then there's no punishment for Henry Wu, who
out of nowhere he redeems himself. I'm like, how after all this stuff you've done in 1 and 2, like in the first one he's just like some generic scientist, blah blah blah, and the second one he's like this evil mastermind. I'm like, so what? Why?
And not only does he redeem himself, but there was a cure the whole time for the locusts. Just push a button, they're all dead. And then he's like, just do that then.
And then what else was this? Because that was thing too. I'm like, oh, so this is an allegory about Monsanto, right? Like, these bugs aren't eating anything that grows this. I'm like, oh, I get it. And then what else was there too? So the guy that was I guess the next Tim Cook, the Dodson's protege. I'm like, why didn't he take the evidence to them? Why did they have to come to him? Like, there was no. I'm like, again, this is like, there's no reason why he couldn't leave. Like, they didn't give an explanation as to why he had to be the one to bring them here. Like, why didn't he go there? I'm like, this is just full of plot holes. I'm like, I don't get it. Why this is happening?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm done with this. Like, yeah, thank God it's the last one, because like, all right, these movies, to me, I'm not watching them. They don't exist. I got my first two. I love Lost World. I love the first one. Jurassic Park 3, I'm like, eh. But these are just like, oh my God.
Yeah. And well, they brought, like, Dr. Grant was looped in because Ellie apparently wanted to rekindle some sort of old romance that never existed. And then there's the kiss at the end was, I almost like puked. I was like you literally are not only shitting over the original franchise, but like just making up a non-existent romance
But they had it in the first one though, because remember they did say like, "Are you guys?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're together." So they were together in the first one, but they broke up. I see. Oh, I see what you're saying. But because I see,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying now. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
He's like, well, he said it was complicated. It weren't really together in the original. He was trying to like shoo off Ian Malcolm. But that all that being said, this is very reminiscent of like Star Wars. I mentioned it earlier. Of you take like something that is so important in cinematic history. It's like the Star Wars original trilogy is like the landmark VFX catalyst for it moving forward in the future in the 70s. In the 90s, it was Jurassic Park. And then some people argue like, oh, maybe Terminator 2 or whatever, but no, Jurassic Park was it. And Jurassic Park was a cultural phenomenon. And I don't think that no amount of words can be used to convince Gen Zers how valuable Jurassic Park was to like us kids who grew up in the 90s.
I think it's the same way with Jaws, because I'm like, everyone's like, Jaws, I'm like, I got Jurassic Park, you guys had Jaws. Not
right.
Like, kind of the same thing, not really. Like I saw the aftermath. I read the aftermath of these movies. I'm like, okay, that's
Right.
I mean, but no, dude, this was horrible.
Well, yeah, it because of this movie, people are going to be viewing the Jurassic franchise as like Fast and the Furious. It's just those movies that come out every few years that are just garbage that make money because people like explosions. And the really sad fact is there are people like someone I had an argument today online who there was a comment I came across on the Jurassic Park group on Facebook that was like, I don't know why people are hating on Jurassic Park 6 so much. It's, it's just an action movie. It's just people go to have a good time, and it's like objectively it's a bad movie. And he tried to pull the whole BS like, no, that's subjective. And I'm like, okay, well, the criteria for what defines whether or not a script is objectively good or bad is its own cohesion. And he was like, well, that's still subjective. I'm like, okay, then by that argument, there's no such thing as a good or bad movie. And then he just deleted all the comments because he realized how much of an idiot he looked like. But this is the cinematic. These are who are filling seats right now. Like people like this idiot are why Jurassic Park 6, I'm even going to refuse to use the name, I'm so mad at it, is making some level of money because there's like the nostalgia whores. I'll say a different word in case you want to use something else. the nostalgia junkies, like that's like all they care about is seeing Alan Grant, Ian Malcolm, and Ellie Sattler on camera together, or people who are just kids who just like to see dinosaurs.
And that's a different conversation too, because I remember talking about this too, because for a little bit of a tangent right now, which is like, I was talking to him good at the bar, and he goes like, "Oh, if people are not getting what they want, being butthurt with Black Widow," I'm like, "It's a fine movie, not the best movie, but I'm like, all right, well, it's not, it's kind of Black Widow or whatever." I'm like, well, I wanted this and I didn't get it, so frack this movie. I'm like, oh, you're those guys. So that's kind of what it is right now. So it's just a bunch of these. I'm like, oh, I didn't get what I want, so I hate it. I'm like, well, maybe you should appreciate what you got. And this one, I didn't appreciate what I got because it was really bad. This one was like, it was not good at all.
Right.
So it's to bring it back to Jurassic Park 6 or Jurassic World 3, whatever. It was like, oh my god, no.
It's sad. I think Hollywood has figured out, because they had we didn't even mention Colin Trevorrow and how terribly directed this movie is.
There's some people who still direct. I'm like, why are you guys the directors? Like, what?
Right. Didn't he do Suicide Squad? Am I wrong on that?
That's wrong. That's someone. That was David Ayer.
Oh yeah, David Ayer. I think Ayer was originally set to direct this, and then they went with Colin Trevorrow.
No, I think he. No, he wasn't. I know it was Colin Trevorrow, but he pushed it back because he was going to do Star Wars or whatever, and then he got canceled for doing something about it, and then so he went back to this one.
Okay, well, yeah, there were shenanigans behind the scenes in pre-production, but also just to point out about this movie had like a year and a half of reshoots and post-production. So this movie was worse potentially than what we saw in theaters, and or
Or maybe
better.
better because like studio notes. I'm like, we've heard some crazy studio note stories too, and like even when I was in physical, I'm like, that was my note, really? Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, anyway, it could have been worse, but maybe it was worse. But maybe, yeah, no, this was not a good experience for me. I'm like, I almost walked out. I should have walked out, but I didn't. I'm like,
Yeah, to respond to your earlier statement about how people are like, well, be happy you got it, and it's like I'm not happy when someone feeds me a terrible meal. Like when I go to a restaurant and order like a piece of meat, a steak or whatever, and it comes out like completely raw, like that's gonna make me sick if I eat it.
right,
I'm not like, well, at least I got a steak. And it's like, no, there is we as the audience, as the people who have been consistently supporting this franchise, especially people like you and me and some of our friends who are super huge Jurassic Park fans, who have been supporting this franchise by buying toys and the Blu-rays and playing the video games for 30 years now.
Yeah.
Deserve better than what Dominion was, and we as an audience moving forward have to let people know to stop supporting movies just because of the nostalgia. And
yes,
yeah, and Hollywood has gotten so brazen with just using it that they just don't care anymore. Not even enough to write a script that's cohesive enough to even like bridge stuff that happened in previous scenes. And just one more scene to talk about. One of my least favorite forms of lazy writing, which is, in my opinion, unacceptable for movies with multiple $100 million budgets, is like what happened when they were stuck in the amber mines with the Dimetrodons, and then Ian Malcolm shows up, and it's like, what? Like,
yeah, and
come
then
on.
here's the thing. He's trying to
Yeah.
clean it up, but then it was the other guy. It was the black guy who was the whistleblower who was like, well, I'll put the code in. I'm like, then why do we need this scene?
Right? Yeah. Why didn't you do it before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Just
if you knew where they were going, why did you not? I mean,
Yeah, and if you had access the whole time,
why didn't you do it in the
you
first
just
place? Yeah, why did you bring
yeah.
them? Like, why did he go on? I'm like, like
And
it just.
yeah,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. Why does Ian Malcolm have access to the underground stuff if he's just doing lectures?
Exactly. Again, dude, yes, dude. Like, why does this mofo have all this access if he's just like resident? He's not just like he's not an employee. He's a resident, right? So I'm like, he doesn't need access to all this stuff. Like, why does he have access to all this stuff?
Right.
Like, here's what you might even plan. Look at it. What do you think? No, okay. Well, then I'm like, I so stupid. And then here's one thing that bugged me the most with the dinosaurs. One thing that I did not buy at all. When I almost said "F you" in the theater was that Bryce Dallas Howard outran a Velociraptor.
Yeah.
Frack that.
Well, she can outrun a T-Rex in heels. So like,
dude, this is why I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, oh my god, this is so stupid. Like, you outran a Velociraptor bullshit. Bullshit.
yeah. Well, okay. Response to that is, well, in the original trilogy, people could outrun velociraptors, but these were like bigger, scarier velociraptors that have been around in Jurassic World that could keep up with motorcycles.
They didn't though, but they hid from them. Like, they didn't outrun them. They hid from them. Remember
that's true. Yeah,
So I'm
that's
like,
true.
no, I don't buy that you outrun a Velociraptor at all. Mm-mm.
Right.
Final thoughts, because it's already pissed me off.
I'm enjoying the rage because this movie is so bad that I feel like we can talk for hours about how bad it is.
We could, you know what we should do? We
yeah.
should do another one, like with a whole group one, like
Yeah.
Dominion Revisited. Are we wrong? I don't think we are. But yeah, this was like, here's the thing, like I feel bad because like our last couple of reviews, like this movie was not good. And I'm like, I try to be like, let's find the good thing about this, but I can't find anything good in this movie.
Right.
And this one here is just like, I can't find anything good in this movie at all. Like, even the dinosaurs, I'm like, can we not use the dinosaurs if this is what the movie's about? You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Even the dinosaur scenes. There were 2 scenes I enjoyed. One of which was when Bryce Dallas Howard's character is trying to hide from the Thesiosaurus or whatever they're calling it, the blind Wolverine dinosaur. That underwater, that was really cool.
That was a cool shot.
Yeah, it was a cool shot. And I generally judge movies based on cinematic experience, and that's why I'm giving this movie like a D instead of an F, because there were at least scenes where I was like, I enjoyed that. Thank you. Now I have to sit through all this other BS. So there's a bit of a redeeming quality. I'm trying to think. I actually liked how they justified why Maisie matters so much. Is she's the only human to have ever been cloned, and she wasn't only cloned, she was cloned by a scientist in her own womb. So just like the continual theme throughout all of Jurassic Park, life finds a way, that is the ultimate example of life finding a way. And I liked how that felt like a big exclamation point on the franchise. So I think the movie's redeemable if you just get rid of the Bryce Dallas Howard, Chris Pratt romance, and you get rid of the Grant Sattler romance, and you fix Dachshund a bit, and forget that the whole world is somehow infested with dinosaurs after only a couple of years, after like 20 of them escape from a place like and just keep it to espionage, and you have a good movie. You just take away all that, and I think you make it, instead of a D, like maybe a C or even C+.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I thought it was horrible. Like what you said. I got nothing else to add right now. I'm ready. Well, yeah. Well, thank you, Tyler. Thank you for joining me for this little nerd rage episode of Frack The Canon. We'll see you same fracking time, same fracking channel. Frack off.